2, 3, 4.
Good morning, my brothers and sisters. On this, our 104th episode of the Good Morning Guys podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this fine morning, afternoon, evening, or night as we discuss the game of life amidst the other games we love to watch and play. I am one of your hosts, the Brazilian Mountaineer and Transition Ninja, Lucas Ham Swisher. Also with me, the judge, jury, and executioner of fake news, spoilers, and Long John Silver's Patrick Novosel.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, my friend. And finally, on his left and my right, we have a guest making us a trifecta this evening, since Mark has decided he is going to be out to extend his birthday celebrating for a whole week. And apparently Ronnie almost burnt down his deck again. Just kidding, that is not true. No worries, as they will definitely be returning next week. However, today, as I said before, on Pat's left and my right, he is the CCO of Slightly Mad Studios, the director of Fast and Furious Crossroads, who has had his hand in a number of games that we either or our joiners are quite familiar with, such as Need for Speed Shift and Shift 2 Unleashed, Project Cars 1 and 2, PS2's Primal, along with Patrick's personal favorite that we will definitely be talking about tonight, the PS2 classic 24 The Game, Sir Andy Tudor.
Hello. Yeah, thank you very much. Wow, your favorite game was 24 The Game. That's a blast from the past,
isn't it?
Yeah, I recently rebought a PS2 just to replay that game. That's
wow,
how much I like it.
That's awesome. Okay, very cool. Very
Bet
cool.
you didn't see that coming, did you?
No, you're the only person who's doing that. So. I thank you so much for that.
Actually, surprise of the night, we're not even really going to talk about Fast and Furious that much. We're just talking about 24 The Game. So I hope...
Excellent. I have many
deep dive.
Deep dive in. All right.
Good.
Before we actually jump into that deep dive, we are going to chat it up, of course, about our personal and gaming lives before we get into business as usual, and the topic, of course, being Andy and his illustrious career in gaming. But first, let's get into a little housekeeping, where we offer towels, put mints on pillows, and tip you off to the things you need to know. If at any time, at any point during this podcast, you're entertained, inspired, or just feel like spreading some love, could you please pause, get on you or your friends or family members, or even a random stranger's smart device, and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Stitcher. As every podcaster, their brother, their sister, their dog, and cat will tell you, it helps us reach a new audience. We still don't understand how, but it works. Also, we do have a goal of doing something crazy for every 10 ratings and reviews we get, and right now we are still 5 ratings and reviews away from Patrick shaving his beard or doing what we are calling the LGS Shake Challenge. As has been mentioned, his beard and his bowels are in your hands.
Gross.
Right, Patrick?
Nope.
Yeah. Do you guys have Long John Silver's across the pond, Andy? Do you guys have Long John Silver's? You probably have real fish and chips, right?
Oh, I honestly didn't know what the heck you were talking about then. When an American says Long Johns, I think of the cowboys in the Wild West and wearing those pants that you wear. Long John Silver's. No, we have proper fish and chips.
That's right. Oh, that's exactly right. I'm so glad you're here.
Bottom of the barrel. That's what we got.
Yeah, Long John Silver's is like the reject fish and chips. The crazy uncle you just don't want to claim. And for some reason, Patrick claims that uncle.
Yeah.
You probably kicked us out of Boston with that stuff, so yeah, that's why we kept
Well, it's so greasy, you probably slipped off the dock and you had to swim back.
Oh, all right, okay. We're going that far, are we? Well, this is going to be an interesting podcast. Fine.
Yes, it is. All right. Besides the ratings and reviews, we are so happy that you're with us today, and we hope that after you hang with us today, you will go beyond listening. So please join us on our Discord, which is a cross between a forum, Twitter, and Facebook, but much more personal and much less volatile way to connect with others, including us and our listeners, our joiners as we call them. So please check out the link in the show notes or our Twitter page at the GMG Podcast to join in on the fun and conversation. And then finally, as mentioned in the past, I have started a short 10 to 15 minute devotional podcast called Good Morning God, where I hope to offer all our current and future joiners a time of reflection, inspiration, to challenge people with more positive, intentional, and relational just reflections as we journey through the game of life together. Our first few episodes have been on the Good Morning Guys podcast feed, as it remains a partner podcast in the GMGU, as Patrick likes to call it. But now it's spread its wings, and as it remains a partner podcast, it's now going to find its own footing in a podcasting platform of your choice, working mostly on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, all kinds of podcasts I've never heard of, but I'm getting these emails telling me that the podcasts work on them. So I'm glad for the few people that use Pocket Casts. Maybe there are more than 5 or a few. I don't know. But it is under the name Good Morning God. There will be links in our show notes. And again, you can find this podcast, Good Morning God, under the Twitter handle at the GM God Pod. So throw out a follow. Also, we have an email for you old schoolers out there, the GMG Odd Pod or the GM God Pod at gmail.com. I always add the extra G. I'm like, the GMG God Pod. I'm like, nope, that's 2 G's. So I have to say the GM God Pod at gmail.com. So I hope you can join me. Honestly, while I do talk about God and share portions of the Bible, I truly want those of all religions and faiths, or those who have no religion or faith at all, to join me. All are welcome. Even if you don't connect with the spiritual aspects, I try to share entertaining stories and, of course, practical just reflections that you can use in everyday life. Alrighty then, I think that's all for the business. Time for the party. So let's get on with what is new with the two of you guys and myself as the guest. Andy, why don't you share first so people can get to know you a little more, see what your non-work related life is like. We like to keep it personal here on the Good Morning Guys podcast. So share whatever personal stuff you want to share, like where you live, your family situation, those kind of things.
Sure, yeah. I live in London, so just north of London. Takes about, it's about 40 minutes to get into the centre. Live in suburbia with my wife and 2 boys, little girl. Getting through lockdown as best we can. They're about to head back to school very soon. I actually work from home, so I know you guys can see right now. The people at home will have to imagine. But yeah, like the whole of our studio, Slightly Mad Studios, we all work from home as a main thing that we do.
Right.
So we have a distributed development model, which means that literally everybody in the studio works from their home office.
Yeah.
So this is my home office I'm in right now.
So
we've been doing that for...
Is that different from pre-COVID, or is that...
No, this is the way we've always done it.
Oh, that's awesome.
We thought we were unique at one point. Now everyone, now the whole world is doing it. You know, and shouldn't laugh about it. Times are tough for some people, but for us, it's been relatively easy for us to transition.
Yeah, you guys were future-proof.
Exactly, we were. My office setup I've got here. I've got my monitor and my keyboard and all that stuff. My computer's down here. The PS4 Pro and the Series X dev kits over here. I've got my DJ decks over there. And stuff like that.
You got some good colors going down. You got pinks and blues and bright lights. I'm like, come on, maybe we should have a DJ portion of our. Maybe you can
exactly. Well, you say that
DJ section.
There they are.
There it is. Nice looking turntables. For those at home on the podcast that can't see it, there is a very nice setup of turntables that I don't know how to describe because I don't know how to DJ or anything. But it looks cool.
So it's that's it. That's my personal life. Work days. The daytime is essentially working, making video games. Nighttime is all about DJing and music. So that's the way I kind of spread my life, spread my weekdays and my weekends. Just trying to get through 2020 and move on as fast as we can, right?
Right.
We've made 2 games during lockdown. We've made Fast and Furious Crossroads and Project Cars 3. Made both those games, finished those games, mastered them, QA'd them, and put them out on PC, Xbox One, and PS3 during lockdown. And now, just when the summer seems to be going away, just when it starts to be clouding over and going rainy, that's when we're all, going to hopefully take some holiday and recuperate and actually get to spend a bit more time with our loved ones. as opposed to trying to get 2 games over the start finish line and into the public's hands. So yeah, there we go. That's
Nice.
me, really.
Nice. So the DJing part, how did you fall into that?
Always done it. Always have done it ever since. So I grew up in Manchester, which is north of London, for those who don't know. And grew up in Manchester when I was around 15, trying to get into nightclubs and bars and things like that. A real love for music. And it was a time when Manchester was extremely popular for club music and nightclubs and stuff like that. And there was the heyday of dance music, which was about to start with nightclubs such as the Hacienda, which you may have heard of, you may not. It doesn't matter. Only old people remember now, unfortunately. But it was around that time. So I grew up in that heyday. Wanted to do something with music as a hobby, and all my friends were into music. Got some decks as a kid and kind of started messing around and stuff. Again, my friends were all doing the same kind of thing. Went away to university, which is down in Bournemouth. Again, Bournemouth is south of London, so it's literally as far from Manchester as you could get without falling in the sea. And went away to university and did a bit of DJing there at our student union club, and then kind of stopped. Got a job at Sony Computer Entertainment, making video games. I just simply did not have the time to do any music or DJing or anything like that. And therefore only really picked it up once again. God, I don't know. Time flies, doesn't it? It's probably 10 years, I want to say it's less than that, but it's probably 10 years now. Again, because my friends around London, they were all into music and DJing as well, and therefore it just kind of started from there, and just got back into it again, and then got a job doing it at the weekends. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Now,
Sweet.
do you have a are you married? Have kids? Anything of that nature?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, which they knew immediately upon meeting my wife. I was like, "This is what I do." So be prepared for weekends of me, going out on a Friday night or Saturday night doing this, as well as enjoying myself as well. But that's part of the deal, as it were. And she's embraced the whole thing and loves it. And nothing makes me happier than seeing her dance out in the crowd or whatever.
For sure.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you have how many kids do you have?
2 boys, 11 and 9, and
Nice.
1 little girl, 3. So yeah, causing chaos. The boys, when the boys were born, we got them a Superman blanket when they were born and a Batman blanket, and we thought that the little girl was going to be Wonder Woman, complete the oh God, I've just said talking about God. My holy trinity is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Right?
The Justice League, right?
So I was thinking, she's going to be Wonder Woman. As it turns out, no, she's Harley Quinn.
Oh,
She
no.
is absolutely insane.
Leader of the Suicide Squad. Nice.
Exactly. So that's the way it's kind of worked out, but I wouldn't have it any different.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's funny how that works out. When you have kids and you kind of have this expectation of what they're going to be like, and then all of a sudden, it's wow. I don't understand how that works. Like my daughter,
for a curveball.
Yeah, my daughter is exactly like me, like almost exactly, and she does things that drive me crazy. She does things that drives my wife even crazier, and I know it drives her crazy because I've already been driving her crazy with it the past 15 years.
Now she's got 2 people to drive her crazy over the same thing.
Exactly.
I bet she feels ganged up on.
Yeah. And then my son is exactly like my wife, except in his humor, which is very much like me. So as soon as he learned the word like fart and he learned to make the sound, like that's my humor all the way. My wife's humor is not like that whatsoever. So she definitely gets ganged up on when we start talking about it.
You got it easy. My kid's grabbing knives and stuff.
Oh, snap. All right. Yep, that's true. I got it. Yeah. You were right about that. That's hilarious. How about your entertainment likes and dislikes. What about your favorite video games? Just so we can get an idea of where you're coming from. What kind of video games do you like?
So all genres. My job is making games, so
Yeah.
I can't be dismissive of one particular genre. There are some that I would maybe not lean towards. I don't know what those are. Romance sims, I guess. Let's say that romance novel games.
So you don't like that pigeon dating game? That pigeon dating game, like my Hato boyfriend or something.
But I play absolutely everything because there's so many games out there right now.
Right.
So many.
So many.
I mean, I've played 6 this weekend, for God's sake.
Yeah. So, what have you been playing?
There's so many. So UFC 4, because that is a game. You can make your character and then just go in and pummel, some other dude. And I used to love UFC when Conor McGregor was in it and stuff. So I had quite a good relationship with UFC 3, which is the previous game. And then there was a big wait, and I was thinking, are they ever going to make another one or not? I don't know. And they've just come out with UFC 4, and so I've jumped in again, and it hasn't it's not that different, to be honest. So it doesn't feel like a big leap.
I played that as well over the weekend. So before the podcast, we were talking about that every Friday night. Me and my buddy played Madden, and we also do UFC 4 or UFC 3. It's we always we'll play a couple of games of Madden, and then we jump into UFC because they're just very easy games to co-op on the couch with. And so we booted up UFC 4, and to me, it didn't seem like a huge leap in the previous iteration. So
So I was slightly disappointed by that, but then it is more of the same that I do love, so I can't really diminish it. But I was expecting more of a graphical leap, potentially more different fundamental mechanics, and they have. That is to say, they have changed things, but it's the same ring girls, it's the same referees, it's the same stadiums and things. I know there are new arenas, sorry. I know there are new ones, different presentation and all that, and different way of creating a fighter and then that being shared around and stuff. So big improvements in every area, but for me it wasn't quite enough considering the amount of time that there was between the last one.
Now, Andy, do you feel like being a game designer and like being in the thick of it, does that make you more critical of the games you play and more aware of like the imperfections or those kind of things?
The one thing it does is so critical, yes, but it also makes me more accepting of things because I know how hard games are to make, and therefore I know, take it easy on these guys and gals. They've done a lot of work here, which unfortunately will maybe not get the Metacritic they deserve because I don't know. There's another game over here that has done loads and loads or whatever. So I'm more forgiving of things. But the kind of the curse, the game designer curse, is that it's quite easy to see when a game has nothing more to give, when it's delivered, the tutorial sequence, it's given you like the initial bit of the grind, and then you're into the main bit of the game where it's not actually delivering anything new. And pretty much as soon as I get to that point, I'm then starting to think, I think I've seen everything in this game now, and I'm starting to wane off it a little bit, simply because there's so many other games to be playing.
Sure.
So I got to that point in Phantasy Star Online 2, actually, the other day. I remember that game quite vividly on the Dreamcast, plugging the long extension cord into the modem, into the wall, and then logging on to play with other people. Like,
ahead of
what
its
a
time.
crazy idea. And I grabbed Phantasy Star Online 2 to see what's changed. Does it still have that spark of nostalgia in there for me anymore? And it does. You turn it on and it's got the music and the anime style to it, and it kind of sparked my curiosity and made me happy that it was exactly kind of how I remembered it. grabbed it on my PC, grabbed it on my Xbox because it's got cross save, and was really enjoying it. And then once again, kind of got to the point where it was like, oh, okay, you go and get the quest, you do the quest, you turn it in, you go and get a quest, you do the quest, you turn it in. And I was like, oh, this is where it starts to get grindy.
Yeah.
And I've seen most of the weapons, and I've seen like a giant thing that you fight and another giant monster, and I've seen some quite weird alien worlds. I think I've seen everything now, unless the game suddenly takes a swerve and introduces a huge new mechanic. I was literally going, I've got my buttons, I know what to do, I know how to jump, I know how to do things here. I know I've leveled my character up a little bit. I was getting to the point when, yeah, you can start to realize where the game has not got anything more to give, and that, as I said, is the curse that you do get as a designer. However, the game that doesn't do that is Battletoads, which I've been playing as well.
Oh yeah.
Battletoads
Nice.
just keeps changing what game it is and just keeps giving and giving and giving. So that's great. That has kept me interested and just crazy. It's 1 minute you're fighting, a classic kind of Streets of Rage beat 'em up. Next minute you're watching quite a well done animated cartoon, a bit like Teen Titans Go and things like that. And then the next minute you're doing Rochambeau, rock paper scissors, with other characters. The next minute you're like, it's a lane running game. Yeah, it's just crazy. Really, really enjoyable. New mechanics keep getting introduced every single level. So I'm actually quite enjoying Battletoads.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then go to the Tsushima, which I absolutely love, but
Yes.
I don't have the time to. It's odd to say. I don't. There's nothing that makes me go back to that game. But when I do go back, I'm playing for hours. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
quite a strange thing.
Feast or
It
famine
hasn't-
with that game. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it, and if I'm going to play it, I know I need to dedicate a good few hours to it. But when I'm away from it, there's nothing nagging at the back of my brain thinking, oh, you've got to get back and do that thing, or oh, you've got to do this, which
Yeah.
is strange. I had the same thing with Red Dead Redemption as well. So I wonder if it's just me and these big open world games. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Huh.
And then, Civilization 6, which I'm not allowed to play. I can't. It's so bad for me to play that game. Like literally hours
You
and
get
hours
lost.
go by,
Yeah.
and I'm just trying to just move my little guy. I'm just trying to get a city state to like me. I'm just trying to do this, and in the meantime, my kids are going hungry in the
Right.
background. Things are on fire. Somebody's cut themselves. Yeah, stuff is going crazy. I can't play Civilization 6 anymore.
I gotcha. I had the same experience with, I don't know if you've played Fallout, any of the Fallout games, but Fallout 76 did that to me, where I would start playing and I was like, okay, let me get my guns resituated, like take off a setting, like change what are those called where you add little pieces to a gun? I'm totally blanking. We did it in Division also.
Mods?
Yeah, like a mod. Like, let me change this mod and switch it out for something else. And then I look up and it's been an hour. And I'm like, I haven't
just been modding my
haven't
gun.
done anything. I haven't gone on a mission. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. And I was still entertained. It just was like, I don't have 48 hours in a day to do this. Like, there's just no way. So yeah.
And then the game I'm married to is Arena of Valor, which is essentially League of Legends on mobile.
Okay.
Okay.
I was at Gamescom many years ago, and a friend of mine who was one of the shoutcasters for League of Legends, he said, you should play Arena of Valor. And I was like, I don't know, we went into a corner, I was like, show me what this game is. And then he showed me it, and I was like, that looks really, really good. And then I've been playing it for 5 years.
Oh, goodness.
I've bought so many skins. I've ranked up so much. And he literally, every time I tweet something about it, he's just like, I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. Like, he knows that he's just wasted my life on this. It's not wasted because it's fantastic. It's an amazing game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the game I'm married to. Just, every time you just find 5 minutes, just go and play it for a bit.
We have them too. Patrick and another one of our hosts, Mark, play Apex Legends until their eyes bleed, and then I played Dead Cells. I don't know if you've heard of that one. It's I've fell in love with it, and I've gotten the platinum twice on PlayStation, and just continue to play and play and play. So
Have you played it
Yeah.
on Switch?
No, I don't have a Switch yet. I
It's
hope to
really
get
good
one.
for Switch,
Oh
actually.
yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
But that would be bad for me too, because if it were something I could just take anywhere I go, that my wife would just love that. If we're at the grocery store and I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna get the Switch out while we're waiting in line, okay?" And then I just start playing Dead Cells, and she's like, "All right, great. Glad we did this together."
Yeah, she'll love that.
Yeah.
You should do what I've just done, which is I've just bought a Game Boy Color
did
for my
you?
son. He loves retro games and things like that, and he's never played Super Mario Land and Super Mario Land 2.
man.
Oh,
I've never
beautiful.
played that. I've never played Super Mario Land 2. So yeah, we just bought a Game Boy Color, and I think they're about the same size as an iPhone now, but like
Yeah.
3 iPhones thick.
Yeah, exactly. They're so thick.
But at least you could stick that in your back pocket, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Oh man, introducing the kids to old school games that you grew up with is magical. And when they like it, it's magical. When they're like,
Yeah.
Dad, this is kind of dumb. I'm like, oh.
This is garbage, Dad. I'm playing
Yeah.
Fortnite right now.
Yeah, that's when your son gets the knife, right? And he just stabs the game. And you're like, no, I love this game. Can't wait.
Shuriken threat.
Yeah, I can't wait for Patrick to introduce Clark, his son, to 24 the game. And then you
Cool.
can be like, I know the guy that made this game.
Wow.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
Well, it sounds
24,
like
right?
you're doing something that I can't do, playing a lot of games. Lots and lots of games.
Trying
So
to.
congratulations on that.
If you're not watching Netflix and you're not socializing or something like that,
It's true.
you should find time to do it, because it's an escapism that I think we all need right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially right at this point in time, which is the end of a generation now, as we all prepare for PlayStation 5 and Series X. There are some amazing games, doing their last hurrah on these consoles.
Yeah.
We're talking just now. Cyberpunk's about to come out, Avengers is about to come out, and that really kind of like puts a bookend on this generation of consoles.
Yeah, for sure.
I know. There's some like rollover with the Series X, but yeah, it's there's some great games to still be had.
For
So,
sure.
Yeah, go out and play them.
Speaking of great games, Patrick,
Hey.
what great games have you been playing recently, my friend?
So this is over the weekend. I played Tell Me Why. I don't know if you heard of it.
I can't not
Yes,
sing that
it's
song
a
every time
Backstreet
I hear the
Boys
title.
biopic game.
Yes, fantastic. I'm excited
Or
to play
NSYNC,
that.
whoever that is, not sure.
Uh-oh. Someone's going to re-wrong us because I don't remember either. I think it was NSYNC, right?
I think it's better if you don't know.
Yeah,
That's
It's
true.
one of the
Yes,
two.
I'll take that.
Yeah, it's one of the two.
Yep.
50-50 shot. So I started playing that, and it is like a Telltale game where the choices you make shape the game, and you play as a transgender. Was born a female and then transitions into a male, and which is very interesting to me, because we in video games we don't get that type of a storyline. So, and me, like I'd like to play different games. I like to just to see what's out there, because I play Madden every Friday.
Yeah.
I need some variety. So
Speaking of
it
a
was
game
free-
that's never changed, like UFC, Madden.
yeah, Madden is just there's very incremental changes, and
Yeah.
I play it every year because I love football. So yeah, I booted up Tell Me Why, and it is the story revolves around these two kids who end up killing their mom in self-defense, and one of the kids goes off to juvie for like 10 years, and the other one is not allowed to see their brother for 10 years, 10 years, something like that. And the brother gets out of the juvie detention center, and then they trying to reconnect, trying to figure out really what happened, because they were like 7 or 10 years old when this happened, so they couldn't really remember, and they're trying to remember all the things that happened. They go back to their childhood home, and that's when things start to unravel. Things are like not as they seemed back when they were kids. Things that there might be a cover up somewhere. People are like tight-lipped about things, but it's I know I haven't read any reviews on it because for me, for games that are different to me, I like to jump in without any preconceived notions. I don't like with Avengers or Last of Us. I'm gonna read some stuff like about that because I want to. This one I wanted to go in there with my blinders on and just experience it for me. And for me, the voice acting was good. The story writing was good. The moment-to-moment scenes, the emotional roller coaster in this. This game's only chapter 1 of I don't know how many chapters there are, but it took about 3 hours for me to get through that, and leaves on a cliffhanger. So it has gotten it's got me hooked. I can't wait for the second chapter. I believe it comes out this week, September 1st or 2nd, something like that. And it's like I said, the transgender thing. Like you don't experience like that stuff in video games. I think the only two that comes to mind right now that are recent are Fast and Furious Crossroads with the non-binary character, which was cool, and then Last of Us 2.
Yep.
Last of Us 2 didn't really get into that very much, but Tell Me Why is just like it is about this, and it's very, very interesting, and I can't wait to jump back into that.
Yeah.
So that's what I played over the weekend.
Cool.
So what's the gameplay like? Is it moving characters around, interacting with?
It's just like the Telltale, The Walking Dead. Those type of games where you're walking around, interacting with the environment, talking, making choices, responding to other characters' questions, and then there's also an element in it, kind of like Beyond Two Souls, where these two characters have the ability. They're twins. So they have the ability to talk to each other with their inner voice. So they can think inside their head, and the other person can understand it. So with that, they can also recall memories, like very fragmented memories from their past. And when one recalls a memory, both of them can see it. And it's only maybe 5-10 seconds long, very short, but it helps them remember certain things, like I didn't remember it like that, or that's not how we thought it went. So when they're doing these memories, they're like, okay, something was wrong with mom, or something was going on with her friend, and it's just like a little like a mystery right now.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds like I think I really like the idea of the game of getting into someone's shoes that you might not necessarily understand and get.
Right, and
it's so important to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I wanted to jump into it, because for me, like when I jump into a game, I can get lost in it. I can jump into those shoes, and I can be like, okay, this is me, and I'm going to act like it is me as this character, not as me as Patrick Novosel, but me as the character. So, and it's by Don't Nod, which I believe they did. What was that other game that they did with the teenage girl?
Strange something.
Life is Strange.
Life is Strange.
Yeah, Life is Strange.
Is Strange. Yes.
And that's not a game that I normally would play, but I jumped into it, and I can't relate to a teenage girl at this point. I have a 10-year-old daughter that I can relate to, but a teenage girl at this point, not yet. But I played that when it first came out, and it hooked me because it was just the story was good. The voice acting might not have been the best. The writing might not have been the best, but the story is what really hooked me on that game.
Yeah. Life is Strange. Season 1 was fantastic of that.
Yeah, definitely. I played that too, and it was cool in some of the non-realistic aspects of it, but just in the relational aspects. I really love the Telltale games, not the Telltale games, just Telltale games, but like that style. The relational focus, the making choices on what to say, trying to read people within a video game, like it really just getting you into the shoes of others, that people that have a different life than you. That's what I really liked about Last of Us Part 2, and Tell Me Why. It sounds like it hits that same note, and that's really, I think that's really important and powerful to do in video games. It's fun to play, Madden and UFC and adventure games and be a superhero or pirate, but I think it's cool that there's space for, it's really important to have that space for artistic expression and really like to talk about the human heart and
it's more of like a human related story. It's not like I want to play as Batman or Superman. These are fictional characters. yes, this is a fictional game, but these are real characters.
Yeah.
This is going on in someone's life.
Cool.
And which whenever I hear like based on true events or true story, you know, I'm always more interested in those types of stories. So this one is right up that alley.
Nice. Any non-gaming stuff been going on, or you just been doing that?
Yes. So
I already know the answer. I was just leaving that.
Kids went back to school last week.
Yes, thank you,
last
Jesus.
Thursday and Friday. They're both of them aren't in school full time right now. So like for the first 4 school days, they are going to school, and then the next day they're home. Then they're going to school, and then the next day they're home.
Oh, okay.
I guess they're trying to stagger it because only certain grades go one day, and other certain grades go the other day. They're trying to stagger it because we're in a whole new way of school. Kids got to wear masks. They're not allowed to go to different classrooms. All the teachers come to their classrooms. They don't eat in the cafeteria anymore. They eat in their own room. So basically, they're in their room like 8 hours a day.
I'm like 24/7. You're just leaving them.
I was about to say 24/7. No.
It's like, okay.
That's public, not boarding.
Solitary the rest of the time. Wow. Okay.
So yeah, they're and then they get like 15-minute recess breaks. They get like a 2-minute mask break a couple times a day because they got to wear their mask all day. So it was for my daughter. She's just entered 5th grade. Her getting on the bus, and I wasn't worried about her. She's always been independent. She's always been a good student, always been the teacher's pet kind of girl. So I wasn't really worried about her. It was my son. It was since he's going into kindergarten, so it's his first full day of school. He had a backpack on. He had no idea how to get on the bus to cross the street and get on the bus. Because you know, like with him, he's our baby. You know, we're not having any more kids. Knock on wood, we're not having any more kids. Just my wife he's a mama's boy, and my wife had a really, really hard time for him going on the bus. But he came home that day, and we asked him how it was to wear a mask, and he said he liked it. So I don't know what that means, because I don't know who said they'd like to wear a mask for 8 hours a day, but my son does.
He's digging it. All right.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's the first day, so very likely he's like associating the wearing of the mask with getting to do the new thing. So it's like, okay, I like wearing a mask because it means I go to school and I get to meet new friends and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Give him a week. Yeah. We'll see how much he likes the mask.
Yeah. So he goes back tomorrow. So tomorrow will be his 2nd day of school. So we'll go from there, and then on Wednesday is both kids go to school full time. So which is the day my wife has been looking forward to.
Oh, I'm sure.
Since we had kids.
Yeah,
because my wife. Yeah, so Andy, my wife is a stay-at-home mom, so she's at home. Has been home for the past 10 years, and she's been waiting for this day where it's okay. I can stay home. I can get stuff done around the house. She's talking about all these projects. She wants to paint the garage, redo the driveway. We would just put together a picnic table this past weekend.
Nah, she's not.
You know?
She's going to Pilates class. She's going to see her friends. She's going to drink before noon. Yeah, these is what.
Well, I'm not saying she's not going to do those things. You know, obviously, you know, give her like her little vacation where she can just chill for the next month or so. Let her do that. But knowing her, she comes from a family who always needs to be doing something. Always needs to be in a conversation. Always needs to be doing something with her hands or whatever. So, you know, if she does take a short vacation, it's going to be a short one. She's going to be right back into doing stuff around the house for sure. Otherwise, cool. I mean, that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool, man.
So yeah, that's what's been going on. What about you, Lucas?
Well,
how's it going?
After our COVID scare last weekend at the school where my kids attend and my wife works, this is looking to be a normal week. So we're very excited to just everybody to kind of have their space and to go back and forth. You know, it's very limiting, kind of like what you talked about, Patrick. It's even on a smaller scale because right now the school that my wife works at and my kids attend is doing all distance learning, except they're allowing staff kids and staff to come to the school to work. so that they can kind of have that separation, which I really appreciate. Like through most of quarantine from March to July, beginning of August, I was really struggling to get work done because I work from home. And so in March, when the family came to stay for quarantine, I was like, I don't have anywhere to go. And so eventually it got to where, you know, things calmed down enough to where I could go to the church. I'm a pastor and a missionary, and I could go to the church to work, which was good. But at the same time, I still want to be involved in the kids' lives and still want to, you know, help them with school. And, you know, my wife set up a calendar for them so that there was a little bit of structure and they could keep that. And we've kept that going so that, you know, we structure everything so that they just kind of know. Because, man, all the time they're always like, what's next? What are we doing next? What can we do next? And if we just let them do whatever, they're just going to be on their phones the entire 24/7, like Patrick mentioned earlier about school. They would do that for 24/7. So we give them a little variety. We still give them plenty of screen time. We do a lot of screen time together. We've been playing, of course, as I've been mentioning, been playing Minecraft a lot. And this week we had a really cool thing happen and a really not cool thing happen. So what's funny is earlier, like 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago before we recorded, as you guys know, the power went out on my block. And I didn't have power for like 2 hours, 3 hours. I had to cook dinner over a gas stove with just a little cell phone light and made like egg sandwiches. And we ate over, instead of a candlelit dinner, we had a cell phone light dinner, and it was nice. And so
romantic.
Yeah. So what's ironic about that is I had just gotten our electric, like our junction box outside, fixed, because on Friday half of our house lost power. I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen before, but half of my house lost power, and I'm like, what? I don't understand what is happening right now.
Yeah, it's when your house has different rings. So we have it like downstairs and upstairs. So you can have downstairs nothing in the kitchen, nothing in the living room, nothing. Upstairs, you're great. You've got bedroom lights, great. And that's, but literally everything downstairs is off.
And that's pretty much
like
what
Obi-Wan
happened,
Kenobi.
Except whoever made the whole electric structure, they decided to make the kitchen separated from the downstairs. So our kitchen worked except our refrigerator. It died when the power went out. So, but what we had to do is scoot out our refrigerator and plug it into an outlet over the sink, and it worked fine. So it was totally jerry-rigged and just like, well, that's what we're gonna do. And like 12 hours later, electrician came and he did what Brazilians called gambiarra, where you just do whatever you can to make it work. And he pretty much made a direct line from the live wire to the house, so that he skipped the switch, which is not safe. If like something would happen and something would blow, it would cause some damage. But thankfully today my landlord came and fixed it. But in the process of all that, when the power went out on Friday, my kids were playing Minecraft. It died. Then on Saturday we were going to play together, and we loaded up the game and it said corrupted file.
Oh, no.
And so to give a little more backstory, just real quick, Andy, we had recreated my in-laws' house that they had purchased and then sold this last year, and we recreated it. Like it took us like 4 months to do it, and for a split second, I was like, we just lost that world. And then the light bulb came on. I'm like, I have PS Plus on PlayStation, backup saves, automatic. Yeah. So I went in there, got online. The kids, of course, for the next 5 minutes were like, I thought they were going to cry. I thought they were going to scream, grab a knife, kind of maybe like one of your kids do, Andy. And I was like, oh no, we gotta figure this out. And thankfully, I uploaded the save, and we didn't lose very much progress, just the progress we had on Friday night. But the good thing that happened was that we discovered creative mode. We hadn't used it to this point. I don't know if Patrick doesn't really play. His son plays a bunch. I don't know if you ever play, Andy, with your kids, or your kids are interested in.
Been here, done that.
Yeah. Yours are a little older, so they've probably gone through that phase already. But mine are in the heart of it. They're watching YouTube Minecraft, playing Minecraft, drawing Minecraft, talking about Minecraft at the dinner table.
They still are. You know, it's a similar thing. We started off playing adventure mode because I was like, come on, this is just Lego. This is just digital Lego.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. Of course they can play it. And it was teaching them about the world, how things work. You need this to do this. You need this to do this. and it was teaching them about the world. The peril is quite mild, you know. You just have to avoid creepers and endermen and all that kind of stuff. And we played through adventure mode, and this was like a few years ago, so it was quite basic. All you had to do was essentially just get to the kill the dragon at the end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then after that, that's when we turned creative on. So we played through adventure mode, and we did it properly.
Cool.
Didn't skip anything. Did it, mined endlessly. I was up till 2 a.m. mining whatever it was we were trying to get. Need a bit more coal so I can put it in my stove to do. And I'm like, what am I doing?
What does my life come to?
Why don't I go to bed with my wife? So yeah, did that, and then creative mode is really when we were like, oh, kind of, we've got all the toys are here for us to play with, and we can do whatever the heck we want.
That's exactly
right.
So
now it's turned into building your house, building a roller coaster, building some crazy thing, making sculptures,
right?
And then it transferred into, I was like, I'm done, I'm bored now. The last thing I want to do is make games after I've finished the job making games.
Exactly. Oh, I can't imagine for you, man.
Yeah. So I gravitated away from it, and my kids carried on with it. And then it transitioned into, like you're saying, watching the YouTube videos, watching people like Stampy Longnose and Dan TDM and things like that, of them doing challenges and just making things willy-nilly and learning how to use redstone to make things move and stuff like that. Right. And now it's turned into this whole new set of creativity now. Like my eldest is recreating Mario levels in Minecraft now. Because he loves Mario, and it's a new way to use the toolbox that you've got. So it's kind of carrying on, which is great. I assume he'll give up at some point, but right now he's enjoying it. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's something that I've enjoyed, the personal creation. Like my kids like to go on the adventures, and I go on the adventures sometimes with them. But then the one weekend I went on an adventure with them, I wound up what you were talking about, 2 a.m. It wasn't 2 a.m. It was like 2 p.m. But even still, I was just mining for like 2 hours, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? This is not fun. And so once we transitioned to creative, I was like, why didn't we do this sooner? It's so much easier to make a house. When you don't, we got to the point where we were making bookshelves, but I had to become a farmer. Like, I had to breed cows, I had to kill them, take their leather, breed some more, and eventually I could make a book. And then I make enough books, and then I can make a bookshelf. And I'm like, what am I doing? And then we got creative mode, and I was like, it's all here. I don't have to make anything. So that was like the joy of it all. Now it's going to be a lot easier for us to create stuff. That's what my kids like to do the most. They like to create. They do like to adventure a little, but in creative mode, you can do it to where like all the monsters are still there. They do get stressed out when they get attacked by the creepers, or like a creeper comes and blows up half your house because you get too close to it or whatever. So, but it's really fun. I enjoy it with them. I don't enjoy it by myself. Minecraft is not a fun game to me. It's very ugly, but with them it's fun.
So that they're weighing off it a little bit, and then every now and again the Minecon comes along, doesn't it? And then they have the new update or the new thing, and they jump back in again and play it again. But just sitting there mining for hours upon hours upon hours, you're like, oh my god, I could have been having sex all this time.
That is correct. So anyway. The other thing of it, it's like, how do you weigh this? It's like, when you put it that way, it's like, wow.
I could have learned a language. I could have done anything.
The other thing I've been doing with my family that's really monumental for us is we finally watched a show on Disney Plus.
Yes. Ooh, congrats!
So
which one is it?
We're watching Clone Wars. So
okay.
So to this point, probably the first 5 seasons we've watched on what I've called on the show Swisher Plus, which is my last name with plus, meaning pirating. So I've been doing that because I live in Brazil and Disney Plus is not available, and the only way to watch Clone Wars is Disney Plus. So I took the Gambiaja, the side route. I made the way. And we watched Swisher Plus. But now I can do it legit, and I'm very excited. We can watch Disney Plus. We got a VPN, so we can just kind of funnel things through and pretend like we're in the U.S. And so that's been really cool. And it's going to help a lot with our kind of our family activities, because one of the things we're doing is we're watching through all the Disney animated and feature films chronologically. So we finally reached the 90s. We watched like Beauty and the Beast. We just watched the live action one right after it. And I don't know if you guys have watched that or like watched the animated and the live action back to back, but it is like amazingly good, the live action, like in comparison to the animated, I think.
They did an absolutely great job with the Beast.
Yeah. And the extra songs they put in it, the connections between like the Help and the, you know, the Mrs. Potts and the Cogsworth, which when Cogsworth talks, I'm like, it's either Magneto or Gandalf. I think it's Gandalf most of the time, but I don't see him as a clock. It's like, what's Gandalf doing in that little clock body? But it was so good, and I'd seen it once before, but I'd forgotten how good it was, and just really enjoyed it. And our family enjoyed it so much. We're not just watching the Disney movies; we're ranking them. So Black Beauty, no, that's a different movie. Beauty and the Beast is now #1 in our family's list.
The live action or the
live action,
original?
Not the animated. Animated's top 10.
Wow!
But live action made #1 spot. So my wife and son, they both thought it was #1. My daughter wanted to keep Frozen 2 at #1, and I couldn't decide. I said they were both #1 to me. So since I abstained my vote, Beauty and the Beast went to #1.
Haven't you got two back-to-backs next? If you're going chronologically, haven't you got Aladdin next?
Aladdin's coming up.
not?
Yeah.
I thought it was straight after Beauty and the Beast. Okay,
Well,
maybe not.
we were going with the. Are you talking about animated or live action?
Well, so you know, part of the reason I got into video games and all of this is that when I was at school, I was good at arts, and I was watching these Disney movies, you know, as they came out. And when I went to university and studied computer animation, this is the stuff that they were telling us about, and they showed us like Beauty and the Beast. It had, you know, Belle and the Beast in the
ballroom,
computer animated.
Yep.
And then from that they then moved to Aladdin, and maybe there's another movie in the middle. I don't know, but the Aladdin, the carpet was computer animated as well.
Yep.
So in my mind, they happen literally one after the other.
They're pretty close.
Right, there might be one in the middle. I don't know what it is, but there might be one in the middle. Tarzan?
No, I think Tarzan's after.
Tarzan's after.
No, that was later. Yeah.
Lion King with the Wildebeest, maybe.
Was Aladdin 92 and then Lion King?
Lion King was 96.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, Beauty and the Beast was 91. I think Aladdin's one of the next ones. I don't remember. That's the one we just did, so I haven't looked ahead.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'm really looking
Aladdin's
forward to
good.
It literally shows the advancements in computer technology throughout those, and then it eventually gets to, I think, it's like the wildebeest with all the wildebeest going down the mountain in Lion King, and then it moves on to animated stuff essentially after that.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Okay.
It's incredible to see the change and get into the 90s. 90s for me is like, that's like the heyday of Disney
that is
movies.
the
golden
age
age.
right there.
The 80s were rough. Like, it was like just, I think we watched like 5 movies and we're like, well, that's it. The wife and I did watch, we went back to an 80s movie, a Disney movie, I guess, or an associated Splash with Tom Hanks and, what is her name?
Daryl Hannah.
Yeah, Daryl Hannah. And we watched that, and that was really entertaining, but it definitely wasn't for my kids to watch. So it was like like Little Mermaid for adults. It was good. I found it funny. And John Candy, John Candy's classic. It was he's so funny.
Is he in Splash?
Yeah, he is. He's the brother.
Okay.
I forgot how much of a weird brother he is. Like the younger version, when they show him as kids, he would throw coins underneath ladies' skirts and then look up, and then as a 40-year-old man, he would do the same thing. That's like,
what?
I don't think that
that
doesn't
work. Sing well in today's generation.
It's like
today's generation.
The 80s.
Okay.
So,
oh my God.
Things have changed.
Yeah, things have changed. What you could like get away with or do. It's just like, all right. So yeah.
Cancel Tom Hanks.
Yeah, yeah. So it was those are some fun Disney movies that we watched. And then back to gaming. Ghost of Tsushima, right there with you. Except I'm powering through. I'm not playing 6 games like you are, Andy. You're much stronger than I am. I have to focus on 1, maybe 2 games. So I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima. I just finished Act 2. I don't know how far you are, Andy. I know Patrick already beat
I'm around similar Yeah, the thing that scared me was I opened the map, which is the
don't do that.
and then I zoomed out, and I was like, "Oh no, it's
so
so big! Oh
Yeah.
no!" And that kind of put the fear of anything in me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so,
That's
okay.
I had to stop myself. Once I got to Act 2, I was like, okay, I can't do the side, like the extra stuff. I only do missions, and it's made a big difference. You might want to do that with Ghost of Tsushima. Just play the missions.
Just
You'll see side stuff.
missions.
Mainline the missions. Even the side missions, they're really fun and they're varied. But I really liked it.
Okay.
Act 2 ends. I won't give details, but it is a heartbreaker, and it hits you in the feels. Okay. So now I'm in Act 3, the final act, and we'll see what happens from there. We'll definitely have a GMG spoiler cast coming up soon. And then besides that, I'm playing Tearaway Unfolded with the kids. Just started that. We're not really far into it, but let me tell you guys, if you have kids between the ages of 6 and 10, this is a good game to play with them. Like Clark especially, I think, would enjoy the interactivity.
I think it was free on PS Plus at one point.
Yep, that's why.
So I think I have it on the Vita, maybe. Yeah. Did it come out for PS4 too?
It was. I think it was only free on PS4. I don't think they brought it out free on Vita.
Okay, all right.
But it's really fun. It even connects to the companion app on your cell phone to where you can draw things, and then you can push it into the world, and you'll have paper. Your drawings are in the world.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's really cool the way they connect the world. And in the game you play yourself. Like you're like looking at the world, and they're interacting with you as a person. Like, and the controller is the way you connect. It's really unique, like the way they approach the gameplay in it. So I definitely recommend it for families to play together. So it's really fun.
All right.
And then Dead Cells. The final stretch, just playing that Dead Cells, working on the highest difficulty to beat it legitimately, no save scumming and all that jazz. So I started today actually, so streaming it a few times a week.
Okay.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, well that is all for my updates, things going on with us. If that's all we got to share about current things, I think we should get into the gauntlet, the GMG gauntlet. Take Andy through some questions, take him through some. Yeah, you should be scared. No, don't be scared. It's really like we're the most unprofessional questioning gauntlet guys ever. So yeah, with that, I think we're going to talk a little bit about Fast and Furious, talk about the projects you've done, of course, talk about 24, because Patrick has been just chomping at the bit. He's like, I got to talk about this 24. So first, let's begin with Fast and Furious, since that's like the present thing. You know, Patrick has played through the entire game. He talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago, did a little mini spoiler cast. But I've heard that you didn't just work on this game, direct this game, but you're actually a fan of this game. And so I want to put you and Patrick to the test.
Okay.
Let's play Bamboozled, the GMG Gauntlet edition with Fast and Furious. That's not the title I meant to call it, but that's what I'm going to call it now.
That's all right.
Second title is Bamboozled, Fast and Furious Fanatic Edition. That's the original name I gave it, and I forgot because I didn't write it down. All right. We have two contestants tonight in Bamboozled. Why don't you introduce yourselves? You with the hat. Can you tell the audience who you are?
Hi, I'm Andy Tudor, Chief Creative Officer at Slightly Mad Studios, an apparent huge super fan of Fast and Furious.
Fantastic. So glad to hear that, Andy. Patrick, how about... Suits, I introduced you accidentally. You with the tall hair.
If you want to.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
I am Patrick Toretto. I am Dominic's long-lost brother.
Fake news. I don't believe you, but we'll go with it anyways. Nice to meet you, Mr. Toretto.
At one point, we're probably going to see another family member we haven't seen in the Final Fantasy. You never know, crossover.
I think you're
Toretto.
You're getting your IPs mixed up there, Mr. Toretto.
Cloud
All right.
Walker.
All right, so let's jump into our first question. To decide who is going to answer the first question, Andy, pick a number between 1 and 2.
2.
All right, you are going to go first. You probably would have gone first no matter what. But
how this works? Okay.
So, what is the year, make, and model of Dom's car in the original The Fast and the Furious film?
73 Dodge Charger.
Ooh, sorry, that was close, but no cigar.
Okay.
At least according to the website I used to find the answer to this question.
69?
Nope. You jumped to the other side. Patrick, do you have a guess?
No.
Great.
It's something.
Then Andy gets the point since you won't guess. According to research,
what was it?
It was the 1970 Dodge Charger.
Okay.
Oh, close.
We'll just go with it. We'll check our specs later to see if it's a liar. Either way, Andy gets the points. All right, Andy, do you want to pass to Patrick or do you want to pick a Wicked Wango card?
Oh goodness. A Wicked Wango card.
All right, you are going to go higher up the ladder of mayhem, I guess is what it's called, the ladder, and you are going to get double points from here on out. For every 1 point you get, you will get 2 points.
What?
Wow.
Congratulations. Okay. Good job picking the Wicked Wango card.
This game seems rigged.
Since you picked the Wicked Wango card, Patrick, you get question number 2.
Okay.
Patrick, before I ask you the question, do you want to pick risk or reward?
Risk.
All right. During the time I am asking this question, you must hold your breath. Ready, set, hold. Name the drugstore that Dom's family owns and where his sister Mia works.
It's Toretto's Cafe and Market.
Patrick?
Racer's Edge.
What?
I don't,
You wouldn't have known
That's not
anyway.
it.
So Andy
It's the tuna place.
gets your point, and he gets double points. So he is now up to 3 points.
Wow.
Good job, Andy, with 3 points. Patrick, still 0, but I have faith that you might get
Par
one.
for the course.
All right, next question. Do you want to answer the question, Patrick, or do you want to spin the wheel of mayhem?
Let's just answer the question.
All right, fantastic.
That's no fun.
You missed an opportunity.
I knew it was going to be something
If
horrible.
only you had spun the wheel, you would have gotten
Sure.
Andy's points, but that's not happening now.
Sure, yep.
Question
This seems
number
fair
3.
and balanced.
All right, Patrick. Question number 3. Main city and setting of Fast 5.
Fast 5.
You have 3 seconds.
Miami?
That is incorrect,
No.
Andy.
Rio.
That is correct. Can you give me the population for bonus points?
Oh goodness, no.
Within
No
a
idea.
a
No,
guess.
I'll
Pick a
I
number,
don't-
and you
6.
could win. Huh? 6?
6. I don't know.
That is close enough. You got an extra point. You are up to now 8
some
points.
number of points.
No, 7 points. You have 7 points now as the points have doubled. We'll see if Patrick can catch up. Would you like to spin the wheel or pick a Google card? Andy?
Me?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, yes.
I didn't say
I will.
who.
I will do the interesting thing. Yes, whatever it may be.
All right, you're going to spin the wheel.
Oh, come on!
You got a gimme card where you get all of Patrick's points he doesn't have. So, because he has no points, you get bonus 2 points. Now you have 9 points. All right, question number 4.
This is going excellently.
Yes, this is for, we're going to give this one to Andy since he hasn't gotten to answer a question recently. In Fast and Furious 6 and Furious 7, what are the Shaw brothers' names?
Deckard and Owen.
Ah, come on! I knew that.
That is correct. Patrick, since you said you knew that, I will give you 1 point. All right.
Ah, sweet. On the board.
He's on the board. And now Andy has 9 points. 1 away from 10 points, which is pretty much the end of the game once you're that far ahead. All right, last question. This is going to be a buzz-in question, and in order to buzz in, you just make an animal sound. Patrick, which animal sound will you make?
Ooh,
All right, and Andy, what animal sound will you make? Perfect. Here is the question. Answer when you know it with your animal sound.
Oh gosh, that's my buzzer sound.
Yep. What is Brian and Mia's son's name? Andy?
Do you know? I'm looking at his face right now, and I'm waiting for him to do it.
Oh no, I don't. Little Paul.
Are you Googling it right now, Andy?
No, I don't actually know. I can't remember.
Oh no. It starts with a J.
Jack?
That is correct. You got it.
Jack?
Ding, ding, ding,
Is
ding,
it?
ding, ding. You are the winner. At least again, that is what the website told me. His name is Jack. I think it is. I honestly don't remember.
I don't remember that at all.
However, with that correct answer, that could be a wrong answer. We'll have to find out later. You win the game, Andy. Congratulations. You bamboozled Patrick.
Hooray.
What bamboozles me.
Woo! You guys survived. All right. Enough of the shenanigans. Let's talk Fast and Furious for real. That pretty much went the way I thought it would. Patrick's only won one of our 8 or so times we've played Bamboozled. He gets...
Yeah, I won it, but I also shared it.
Yeah, you did share it with someone else,
I haven't been a sole winner yet.
So you're really half a winner.
Yeah. I almost had you.
So I wanted to lead the Fast and Furious discussion with what we thought was the best of Fast and Furious. Of course, they're all good movies. They're all about family. They're all about cars. They're all outrageously fun. But sometimes it's just fun to talk about the ones we like the best. To lead us into that, I want to just share real quick a poll that we put up on Twitter in which we asked which Fast and Furious movie is your favorite. And before I get into the results real quick, I just wanted to read some of the comments. A number of people, including Patrick, said the first one is classic Fast and Furious the one. Married to the Games at MTTG Cast said the first one. A few people shamed us and said things like Arctic M77, who said, "Where's the option for never having seen one of the Fast and Furious movies?"
How? Have they been in prison?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think people in prison have seen these movies.
Okay. I feel like you would accidentally watch one somehow.
That's something you need to correct, Matt. His name's Matt, and Matt, you need to watch at least the first one. It's classic.
Yeah.
Of course, another joiner of ours, Splig at Dopalicious, said, "Does Gone in 60 Seconds count?" No, it does not. It does not count.
Nor does Herbie the Love Bug.
that definitely doesn't count. In our Disney watching, we have definitely watched all 3 or 4 Kirby.
What about Biker
Kirby
Boys?
Movies. Biker Boys. No. Wild Hogs with John Travolta. No. So then after that, a number of people, of course, when I asked the question, I said, which Fast and Furious movie is your favorite, and why is it not Tokyo Drift? Just throwing a little shade, because it's my least favorite, even though it's still Fast and Furious and it's good.
Right.
A few people, of course, mentioned Fast and Furious. And when it came down to it, the number one was Furious 7, with 7 votes. And then Fast 5, and then The Fast and the Furious. And then it just went on down from there. But those were the top 3. So for you guys, we'll start with Andy. What are your favorites Fast and Furious movies?
It's definitely 7. Easily 7. You know, it's the last one with Paul Walker. And it's the one which at the time had a huge thing around the movie of how they were going to do it without Paul, and you knew going into it was all going to be about Jason Statham being the bad guy. So, and at the time they hadn't really had kind of celebrity bad guys at the time.
Right.
they hadn't had Charlize Theron, they hadn't had Idris Elba at the time. So here you were knowing going into it, you know, holy crap, you know, Jason Statham is the bad guy.
Oh, that ending after credits with Jason Statham was like shocking.
Paul's last movie, the stakes were even higher and huge, you know, and it's the one movie which is just full of dude bros in the cinema, and they're all bawling their eyes out during the last credits.
Oh man.
You know? It's Fast and Furious, for goodness sake, you know? And it's giving you that kind of feeling. So it's transcendent above all the other movies. That particular one with the Dubai, you know, jumping the cars between the planes and the assault on the bus to rescue Ramsey, the ending in LA with the drone and everything. It's just the set pieces in that movie are so good. Yeah, it's just leaps and bounds above the others. And then beyond that, my choices are heavily skewed by the game, because we were making the game just before Fate of the Furious came out, or right near the beginning, I believe it was. And so, you know, I've watched that movie about 20 times now. You know, it was our main reference point for a long time during making the game, before Hobbs and Shaw came out. And then Too Fast, Too Furious, because people don't, it's not usually on right near the top of people's favorite movies in the franchise. The second one, you know, doesn't have Dom in, doesn't have Letty in, doesn't have the family in there. It's just, and I say just in inverted commas, it's just got Brian, and they introduced Roman.
Yep.
And for us, when we were approaching making this game, we knew that we wanted to have two brand new characters who had a link to the franchise, but couldn't just be, you know, the guys that the unknown people who just lived around the corner from Dom and Letty in LA. And it's like, well, why did they never meet up? Why did they never talk about them? You know, so they had to be kind of distanced enough from the main family. And that's why we went for, you know what, Miami has got something here. It introduced Tej, it introduced Roman, it introduced Suki, and people know and talk about those characters. And it felt like there was a family there in Miami as well. And that's why we wanted to put our particular characters for Vienna and Cam to have originated there as if they were part of a family already. And we make reference to that in the game, therefore. I used to run with Suki and Tej and their crew and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Too Fast has a special place in our hearts, you know, making the game with that particularly in mind. You know, our approach in making the game was to, you know, do what Rogue One did for Star Wars, in that it just enhanced another movie. It didn't take anything away from it. It didn't ruin anything. It introduced characters that came and went and disappeared, and you never hear of Cassian Andor or whatever, you know, anymore. But it gave you a little bit of backstory, and it put in that one little nugget of information, which is, this is why the Death Star blew up so easily. So that was our approach with making this game. Choose a movie which traditionally wouldn't be in everyone's top 5, let's say, and then just add more to it. So ours was Too Fast. We could have equally have gone with Tokyo Drift. You know, there was a time when we were wondering, you know, are they from Japan? You know, do we link in Sean and Neela from Tokyo, or Han in some way? But obviously Han wasn't around in the movies at the time, you know, and we thought that Han was a dead end, so to speak. And you know, I don't know how much you want to spoil, but you know, in the end, we decided to go with Miami instead of Tokyo for a number of reasons to do with the movies.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's cool.
Yeah, like one of the things that you did with the car that's in the barn in the game is the car from Too Fast, Too Furious that Brian, you know, jumps onto the boat at the end of the movie.
Yeah, man.
She's like, hey, it was like, I just fished this one out of a lake in Miami. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, we're already in this.
Exactly. That was a really important thing for us to do, because of course you say you're making a Fast and Furious game and people go, has it got Vin Diesel in it? Yeah. Has it got so and so in it? Has it got Michelle Rodriguez in it? Yeah. And then also people going, has it got Brian in it? And we're like, well, Brian does exist in the world. He's off, enjoying his family time with Mia.
Yeah.
But it is too early to have Brian back,
Agreed.
In some digital recreation kind of way.
Yeah.
So we were like, no, we're not going to touch it with a barge pole. However, we would like to continue that legacy on in some way. And we thought about how we could do that. And with the character of Vienna being somebody who's always looking to the past, like looking over the shoulder, being respectful of old things, being respectful of old people, and restoring classic cars as a way to kind of atone for her sins, it made absolute sense that she would see this beat up, swamp ridden, car that has been crushed and from the Florida lake, and want to restore it back to its original glory, and does that, and does not even know who it belongs to, doesn't know that it's Brian's car, but she's restored it back to its original glory. And for us, it was then a perfect way to continue Paul's legacy by passing the torch almost from the movie crew to the game crew. And it also fit the story and also fit the character completely. And we spoke to Cody Walker about this, and he absolutely loved the idea. So it got his blessing as well. So yeah, we're really proud of that. That Camaro now has a new owner, and it will continue on in the franchise under with Vienna behind the wheel.
Sweet.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I really, you bring up Too Fast and Furious. I think Too Fast, Too Furious to me is probably one of the more underrated of the Fast and Furious movies. I remember watching it. I still can visualize so vividly the car going into the boat. I mean, I feel like more often than not.
And the scramble and the race at the beginning where they jump on the bridge, and
a lot of it.
The messing around trying to recover the cigars for Carter Verona. It's got good sequences. It's just that once you've seen, dragging a vault through Rio or jumping a few cars,
how do you go back to the
exactly?
Yeah,
exactly. So,
but Roman is such an anchor of a character in the franchise now. Like that's his beginning. Huge. So to me, that makes it so important. Like his whole I'm hungry, cuz like that just. Yeah. That phrase, I use that from time to time when I'm talking to my family. Just like are you hungry? I'm hungry.
We're hungry.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious Crossroads is an origin story for Vienna and Cam. So in the similar way, Too Fast and Furious is the origin story for Tej and Roman. So yeah,
it's good stuff. But I'm with you in going back to like my number one. My number one is definitely Furious 7. I just love the emotional aspect of it at the end. The end when. Dominic Toretto / I'm blanking on his name now. What is the actor? Vin Diesel. I just blanked on his name.
Yeah.
When you can tell he's talking both as a character and as a human being about Paul Walker, Brian. It is just like, like you said, man, children just crying, like bro dudes, like crying their eyes out. I was one of them. I mean, I'm not really a bro dude, but even still, I was bawling my eyes out. Like, especially after, just being a dad, being a family man, seeing how they honored his memory. And then on top of that, of course, the story is like so intense, and that after credit scene, that's like Marvel levels of jaw dropping. Like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to watch the next one. Fate of the Eight, Fate of the Furious.
Yes.
Yeah. So Furious 7 to me is my number one. How about you, Patrick?
Yeah, I can totally get the Furious 7, but me, I'm a sucker for origin stories. So that's I always usually go back to the first of any franchise, just to relive, like, because we've gotten 9 Fast and the Furious movies, and we've got so much history there. And I like to go back and watch the original, the Fast and Furious, with Brian as a undercover cop. Everyone is just. They're highway robbers going after DVDs. Just all this stuff is so small compared to what it is now. it is so outlandishly ridiculous. In the like, they're asking Vin Diesel or Dominic Toretto and Paul Walker's character Brian, and they're asking Michelle Rodriguez-Letty. You know, they're asking the drivers that have no training at all in anything, and they are like the top crew to handle any situation that is going on. So I think it's gotten so crazy, and the more movies there are, the better it gets, because that's why I watch Fast and Furious movies, because they are just like, that could never happen. Where, you know, like Dom and Letty, you know, grab each other in midair after flying out of the car, you know, across on a bridge. Like, come on, seriously. But I love it. I eat it up because it's like, that's, you know, you accept it. That's the stuff you accept. Yeah. But you know, I just like going back to the original and just watching Brian develop that relationship with Dom's sister, which and then Dom's crew, and he's like, you know, Brian gets Dom away from the cops, and then all of a sudden he ends up in the house, and Vin Diesel just stands there, and he's like, you can have any beer you want or any drink you want as long as it's a Corona. And that's when, you know, like, that's when the family starts. And just like, that's just the origin stories is what really gets me. That's why I like that one.
Yeah, man. Cool. It makes sense. You can't go wrong with that. It's like Iron Man. It's like
you always go back to
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I know how it ends. Let's go back and see how it began.
It's fresh, and so I totally get it. And I love Fast and Furious. I think it's Fast and Furious 5, Fast 5, where they go to, that's the Rio one, right? I asked the question and I can't remember. That's like where Brian and Dominic finally have a whole movie where they're like family, like.
Yeah, they only really. I mean, people. Yeah, you're right. I mean, people think of brotherhood, you know, that term brotherhood and family, but they only really get to that point at the end of Fast 4, Fast and Furious.
Exactly.
And up until that point, you know, Brian's still a cop, and they're on opposite sides of the law, and they've got a bit of a beef with each other, and it's only really by the end that you're like, they're brothers, and then Fast 5 starts, you know, with that solidified, and off we go to the races, and then they introduce The Rock as the other, you know, the conflict in that movie,
and then they welcome him to the family, and then then they fight the brother.
Everyone joins eventually.
Yeah, you either die or you die, or you live long enough to become part of the family. That's the only two options you have in Fast and Furious. We had some questions to focus more on Fast and Furious Crossroads. One of our joiners, Barnaby Butterteeth, he said, well, how did this happen? Congrats on a great guest moving up the food chain. Thank you, Barnaby. We're really working with the big wigs.
Scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, don't say that. That's not true. He said, now for the question. When you have a franchise, Andy, that is known to be over the top, how do you decide what is good crazy and what is bad crazy? What can you pull off without people going, well, that went too far?
So for us, so as a you know, big fan of the franchise, and therefore starting from that point, knowing that I myself want to see something which completely fits within the franchise. You know, the franchise is all about high stakes. It's about everyone taking everything seriously. It's about, you know, a threat which is credible and feels like it could actually happen, but the solution to all the problems are the most fantastical. So, or they are, you know, cornered into they're pushed into a corner, and the only way to get out of it is through something to do with cars,
right?
Or the best way to do the thing is via cars. And therefore, knowing the parameters, therefore, that's how we set out to make the game as well. We knew that we were doing an origin story for these brand new characters, and the movies have changed over the years. They used to be, like you said, they used to be all about street racing and pink slips and cash and street cred and all that kind of stuff. And now the team, the family, are a international vehicular strike squad, right? You know, Mission Impossible-ing the world and saving it, you know, one RPM at a time. So we knew that there were some people who would love the old stuff, some people who love the new stuff, and we wanted to take people on that journey in a condensed form of the game, taking you from the streets and progressing you through that elevated stakes and elevated complexity of mission and growing the family and all that kind of stuff, till you got to the similar kind of point as the most recent movie. And the most recent movie for us was, at the time, was Fast 8, and Hobbs and Shaw during the kind of last year or 9 months of the project.
Right.
So, knowing we wanted to take you on that journey, we then looked at all the set pieces of the movies, and we wanted to play homage to each of them, but give them all a twist. So this, for us, was like The Force Awakens had done. It feels familiar, and it's telling a story which, again, is something that has kind of echoes of something you have seen previously.
Yeah.
But it's with brand new characters, brand new scenarios, brand new locations, a different type of situation that's happening. And therefore, that you can see, therefore, in the game, the opening sequence is against a tank. So we were taking literally the Ripsaw from Fast 8, which are on the ice that Tej has, and doing a more extreme version of that. Because again, we don't want to just see the Ripsaw. It's like, we've seen that already. We want to see something bigger than the Ripsaw,
Yeah.
And then we reset back to, a classic street race like the first movie when they're in between those two buildings, which is the one in Barcelona. Then we do the truck heist, again, similar to that very first opening sequence of the first movie, with the green underlights underneath the cars. But cool. You're doing something different there. You're not trying to get VCRs off them. You're trying to jump somebody onto it to get control of the cab and then take it over. So you have quite defined parameters. You know what kind of stuff happens in the movies, and you want to recreate that, pay homage to it, and give it a twist. And then obviously you want to exceed it in some point, which was where we then spent a lot of time thinking about who's the bad guy, what's that final sequence going to be, how do we, we were literally like, how do we get bigger than a submarine? Like,
yeah, right.
We were Googling like large objects, like large moving objects.
What if the cars fought the Statue of Liberty that was controlled by...
Yeah, we came up...
The Ghostbusters.
We were looking at...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
We were looking at like battleships. We were looking at zeppelins. We were looking at anything that was absolutely ginormous. We found this big excavator digger, and that's what went into the quarry mission near the end. And whereas Fast 8 was, statistically, basically, Fast 8's ending is an ice level, and you're being chased by something. So the inverse of that is a fire level, and you're racing after something. Okay. And so even there, with that just flip right there, you kind of go, okay, what are we going to do that's on fire that we're chasing? And then when it came to the bad guy, we were kind of thinking, we're now in the realm of the celebrity bad guys. So we've got Idris Elba, we've got Charlize Theron, we've had Jason Statham, Helen Mirren, I guess, to a certain extent, and now we were like, how do we get a bad guy who feels like he ties in, like, if we're tying our main characters into Too Fast, how do we make sure our main bad guy ties into the other bad guys there as well?
Yeah.
And we did certain things to kind of thread that needle there. And then, thinking of back to your question of like, how far is too far? Well, at the time when we were trying to think of like what the bad guy's plot was and what that final sequence was going to be, two things were happening in the world. The first was the North Korea had said that they had missiles that were capable of hitting America at the time. Right. If you remember that back, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And that was quite a distressing thought that there were missiles that could hit the mainland. So we were thinking, wow, like the only thing that is preventing this from ever happening is our knowledge of that and our strategic defense network, or the strategic defense network, and NORAD and satellites and all that kind of stuff. Like, what if that didn't exist? What if there was a way to kind of turn it off, essentially, and therefore anyone could just fire a missile, and the first you would ever know about it is when it hit.
Happens.
Yeah. And that was quite a scary thought. It still is a scary thought, right? But that was like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting. And then the other thing that was happening was SpaceX, and they were sending rockets up, again and again and again. Yep. So we kind of worked it out, like meshed the two together, and we were like, okay, well, you need to get it. If there is this way of turning off the strategic defense network, like, where is somewhere that the crew can't go? And of course, the joke is that one day the movies are going to go to space, right? So that's when we were like, okay, let's play with that. Let's play with that theory, that expectation, that joke, and let's do it. So that's where the idea came from, that the final mission is there's a rocket about to take off, and on it is a satellite which, once launched, is up in space and can turn off the strategic network whenever the hell it wants. You can't get there. You literally have to have another rocket and go up there yourself to actually turn it off. There's no way to turn that off, right? And therefore it's a place that our crew can't go. They're ground based. They are in cars. They can't go any further. And that's when, of course, the idea came from, well, if they're going to save the world, they're going to fire missiles at that rocket, and then have it tip over, come off its detachments for launch, and then all of a sudden you've now got a fire-based thing that you're then chasing after, because you're now chasing after the rocket to slow it down. So it all it wasn't an initial, let's have a crazy rocket thing, and let's just coming out from nowhere. It came from the real world. It came from real threats that were happening. It came from something which felt, I know it sounds crazy, but sounds logical in a way, right?
Fast and Furious logical.
And it also felt like
for sure,
something that exceeded, but was also in the spirit of the last crazy finale to a movie that we'd just seen. And that's where 100%. You then have to work out, your radar has to go off of like, is this too far? Have we jumped the shark, or is this actually in line with the movies? And the thing that really sold us on it is that we were doing we were submitting scripts and stuff at the time. It's a very collaborative process with Universal, all this stuff. And we were doing voiceover recording with Tyrese, and Tyrese had said, like, you guys need to talk to Justin Lin, because the stuff that you've got going on the game could tie in, or like it would be really interesting for you guys to, put heads together and talk about what you're doing in there. So that was like a real that was a real good, almost like validation of
sure.
Everything what we're doing here is legit, canon, feels in the spirit of things.
Nice.
And it's also something that the movies could have taken as well. So that's where you draw the line, basically. You look at it and go, is this too far from me? If I was sat in the audience watching it, would I go, these guys this is nonsense, they've gone too far at this point? It's into the world of the fantastic. And being a fan, we can all joke about two cars jumping a skyscraper, or throwing cars from an airplane to land on a road, whatever, but they are doable, those things, I guess, in some way. And you just have to have a little bit of
you have to embellish it a little bit.
It's a little bit of suspension of disbelief to make a awesome sequence which is visually appealing and also really fun to play. So I think we got it right. So
you definitely got it right. It was when I was playing the end scene, it felt true to Fast and the Furious. Not only the ending, but the big set pieces throughout the game. You can watch a movie and there's a little bit of a disconnect for me when I'm watching a movie. But when I'm playing a game, I feel like I am in control. And when you were driving as Roman Pierce and you were taking that EMP through the harbor, it felt like I was doing the chase with the vault across the streets of Rio.
Exactly.
You know, just like that's the kind of connection that I was like, oh, that's now I can actually feel like what it would have been like if I was doing that.
Yep.
So those kinds of connections were really, really cool.
Good. The whole point of that particular mission was to just throw so much stuff at you that you barely had time to react. That it was just like literally mortar after smashing something, after plowing through a roadblock. It was just chaos, absolute chaos, which is how that feeling that you have when you watch the Rio heist is in the movie. You're just like, oh my god, it's just boom, it's just gone through a whole shop, and boom, there's like loads of people jumping out of the way. It's just action, reaction shot, and just crazy thing, and like rubble and things like that. Your eyes are moving so fast, and your brain is kind of trying to take it all in, and that's exactly the feeling we wanted to get in that particular mission, which sounds like we did. So it's good.
Yes,
you definitely did.
And there was. Yeah, and I, like I wasn't like when I did the mini spoiler cast, I wasn't expecting to talk as much as I did on this, but the more I talked about it, I was like, wow, this feels like a standalone Fast and Furious film, but I'm playing it. There was just like there's a lot of fan service in here, where there were big, huge, boulders, just coming down at you, and I think at Letty at one point she's like, oh, this is eerily familiar. Yep. And it's just those kinds of things that you put into the game that Fast and Furious fans will get, but a game player will just be like, well, go on to the next scene or whatever. But for Fast and Furious fans, you get it. Yeah,
there's some little nods that the characters do as they remember their own sequences that they were in. Like, this better not be about St. No Cigar, and remember Rio, like use the and this is like Berlin all over again with the wrecking balls and stuff like that. And then there's also the other side of it, which is seeing these legends through the new eyes of the new characters. So there's a nice little bit that I think we put in where Vienna and Cam are driving up a mountain in Morocco, and they are talking about things that happened in the movies, but only from their perspective. So they don't know about skyscrapers in Dubai. They don't know about the submarine. They don't know about other things because they're street racers. They've just come from Barcelona. So all they would hear about is the stuff that would be on the street racing grapevine. So they know about Dom and Letty turning up at a race in London, because that would be a big thing. They know about Dom going to prison. They know the things that they should know about, but they don't know the crazy other stuff that has happened. It's only really Mahalia, who they meet at the Fuel Fiesta race, that Mahalia's like, I've heard what you do with cars nowadays, Dom, because she has heard from, I don't know, some connection that she has heard the crazy stuff. So I think we tried to make sure that Vienna and Cam were our eyes into the franchise, and therefore we would only know certain amounts of information that only they would be privy to. But then, of course, the main characters, the main actors, they would be doing little nods there, especially when like Roman's in the back seat trying to bleeding out, we presume, or like scared for his life on the bulletproof vest, and he's saying things like, "Oh, I never knew Ramsey's last name." Again, a little nod to like the previous movie and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So many Easter eggs in there.
Yeah, a lot. And I mean, I didn't even play the game, but the things I've heard, what's Patrick's talked about, I've definitely listened to. You talk about the game before just to get a little better understanding of the game. And just how it represents Fast and Furious franchise. I definitely watched the ending because Patrick talked about it so much. I was like, I got to see this to believe it. And it really just comes down to the good crazy things are when they involve cars and when Dominic can ride it. So one of those two things happen, it's a good crazy is what I've gathered from what I've seen.
The way we approached it, and the way that Universal think of it as well, is when the characters get in the cars, that's the equivalent of Iron Man putting his suit on. Yeah, that's the equivalent of Captain America grabbing a shield.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whenever they do stuff, whenever they jump to their cars, that's it. It's game on, and that's the way we wanted it exactly as well.
Nice. We pulled it off well. Another one of our, actually not a joiner, but a host who wasn't able to be with us tonight, Mozambique, Marc Boucher. He loves Apex Legends, so he goes by Mozambique on our Discord. He said, "Hey guys," and "Hey Andy. Sorry I'm not there tonight, but I did have a question for Andy. You guys were able to work with some of the actors from the Fast and Furious movies, like Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez, as well as Sonequa. Is that how you say? Sonequa. Yep. Sonequa Martin Green, who I loved on The Walking Dead. What was it like working with these actors for a video game, and any fun stories to share about your time with them?"
Yeah, they're all amazing. You know, they're great characters on the screen, and part of it is because they're amazing people off the screen as well, right? They are absolutely huge Hollywood actors, and yet still find the time to work with us on a collaborative way to, I don't know, get Michelle's hair right on her character, choose clothes from the wardrobe of things that she's worn in the past, and outline things that she would like to wear in the future, or things that she may wear in Fast 9 that we could hint at, like where her styling is going to.
Yeah.
Dialogue changes. Working with Vin and his team on the entire, like, where this fits in the franchise. Is it worthy enough, you know, to be called canon? Changes, like we made big changes to the opening of the game. The game originally opened with the truck heist until the point when Sebastian jumped to it, and then Vienna's car spins out. She goes, "Oh my god, no!" And then it cuts to black, and then it goes 3 days previously, and then we rewind to the start of Barcelona, and then do it all over again. In the end, you know, Vin's team, you know, we worked with them and added the Athens level because Fast 8 had come out by then, and one of the last things Mr. Novi says to the team is Cypher was last seen in Athens. So we were like, okay, that's the last thing in the fans' minds when they went to the cinema, and that should be there for the first thing in their mind when they didn't play the game. So we added Athens into the game, mentioned Baby Brian, which had been mentioned in the previous thing, and just try to, again, tightly weave this tapestry of the game and the new characters and Easter eggs and references all throughout the entire thing. So yeah, you know, Vin's team were fantastic on that stuff, like helping us know where he wanted the franchise to go, where it was heading with Fast 9, where the script was being written at the same time as the game. So knowing that where we could tie things in with them or not. And you know, Tyrese, again, fantastic. Really a real like soulful kind of person. I know that's like silly considering, you know, well, obvious considering the type of music he actually does sing. But yeah, just a real kind of quiet gentleman, respectful, again, very into his divinity and stuff like that as well.
So not how he acts in the movies.
Yeah, you know, but then when he's in front of the mic, boom, he's on.
Yeah. He's
and then both Sonequa and Asia that we recruited as our new team members, they were absolutely fantastic. You know, Sonequa's a beautiful person, just really happy, pleasant, polite, great professionalism. And, you know, just said all the lines exactly how we'd wanted them to, exactly how they'd been written on the page, you know, how we'd wanted them to be portrayed. And the same with Asia. You know, Asia came in and they were absolutely fantastic. They're so funny in real life, and we don't really get to see that sense of humor when they're in Billions. But yeah, Asia's absolutely amazing, and just came in and again said everything with the kind of curt, tense tone to their voice that gave you a sense of there's some bitterness at in their character, and then as the game progresses, that bitterness kind of dissolves slightly as their character moves underneath Vienna's wing, and then by the end cinematic, I hope you can see that the way that Asia portrayed Cam is a little bit more lighthearted in that last scene when they're going like, is he serious? Like, I love this crazy town. They're a bit more, the dialogue is a little bit more lyrical, and that's the kind of thing that only those actors, TV and movie actors can really portray. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. They were all great, and we worked with them not only on the voiceover, but as I said, throughout the entire process. So they were involved at every stage. Funny stories. I don't know really. Michelle, I have big, memories of Michelle just sitting down with us in between takes, in between sessions, and we were just eating lunch one time, and she must be a millionaire, right? She must be, and she's one of the biggest actors on the planet, and she's been doing loads of movies and is well respected. And she was telling us about her heating bill in her house, and we were like, "What? Like, this is crazy! Like no other person, no other celebrity Hollywood actor would be talking about such things. No, so down to earth, such a grounded person. Yeah. And then the next minute we're talking about climate change, and the next minute we're talking about diversity, and the next minute we're talking about some crazy technology that she's into. Like, such a lovely person, really down to earth. Yeah, they're all fantastic people to work with.
Yeah, it's really cool that the game is a part of canon and just a part of the official Fast and Furious lore. So that's really cool.
Well, if there's a reason we hired Hollywood actors instead of just any old person.
Right.
The fact is that if people fall in love with these characters, please look out for them in future, or petition to see them in future, or in the movies and things like that. And who knows, they may turn up. Obviously the dream is, the last ever Fast and Furious movie to have a on your left moment, and everyone that has appeared, has come as the cavalry to help Dom in his last moment that bring the family together. And it's literally everyone who's ever been in a Fast and Furious related piece of media.
That would be sweet. The way that Captain America comes in and says "Avengers Assemble," but it's like Dom, just like Toretto's.
Whatever does that mean you'd be there, given your long lost brother?
Family assemble.
Family.
Yep.
So, are you saying, Andy, it's possible in Fast and Furious 9 we could have one of those moments? I know you know some things that you.
I know some things, but I know some things, but I will say now, to avoid any kind of speculation, that no, Vienna and Cam do not turn up in Fast 9. Absolutely not. No.
I was thinking actually more of the end game moment, the on your left. Like, are there going to be portals and like cars showing up, and like the whole family's there to face off against against Idris Elba?
Exactly.
Fantastic. All right. So just to as we kind of wind things down, we did want to touch on a couple of your other games that you were a part of. Tim Pollen in our Discord, he just made a comment because he is a big Project Cars fan. He said, "This guy was involved in the Project Cars franchise. I've played the mess out of Project Cars 1 and 2 and hearing good things about Project Cars 3.
Good. Thank you.
That just came out, right? On the
came out Friday.
Last Friday, the 27th.
Oh wow! Okay.
This is what I mean. We've had 2 games put out during lockdown. You wouldn't normally do that, of course. But Project Cars 3 launched on Friday. It's been doing very well. This one, the Project Cars franchise, we started after finishing Need for Speed Shift 1 and 2, and we wanted to make our own IP. So we started Project Cars, and it was one of the first AAA games that was completely crowdfunded and we made in full public view of the fans, so they could tell us what they wanted, literally on a day-by-day basis, and therefore that gave us like a huge amount of confidence that what we were making was what people actually wanted, because, you know, games take 2 to 3 years to make, and you're kind of making them in the dark and then hoping that when the game comes out, it's something that people actually want. And this really allowed us to double down on, what do you want? What features do you want? Okay, let's go and make that. What do you want now? Okay, let's put that. Have you played it yet? Oh, it's working great. And then we carried on, you know, doing that. So it gave us a great base to work from. Project Cars 2, we then added a load more extra stuff, more depth, more complexity, more authenticity, more content, all that kind of stuff. And then Project Cars 3, we came with the approach of, there were big key things that we were missing from the franchise, like car customization, like a career progression, and other stuff, car upgrades and things like that. And we knew we wanted to get those in, and that's what we've done with Project Cars 3. We've added that stuff in, and that is what we're now seeing on YouTube, all the, you know, streamers and influencers and stuff playing with and going, oh wow, this is really cool, all the great photos people are taking of the cars and stuff. So yeah, it's been an absolute whirlwind, both projects, of course, but yeah, it's good to see that people are engaging with it well.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not much of a car game guy, but I've heard nothing but good things about Project Cars 1, 2, and I hope to hear more about 3. Maybe even check it out sometime. Third time's a charm. You never know.
This is the most accessible one.
Yeah.
This is the most accessible one. If you're not even a car guy, the first thing it asks you is, where's your experience on this spectrum?
Right.
And you pick your experience, and then it's all handled for you. You know, you can jump in with the gamepad. It's so easy to drive now. So yes, this is the one for you if you've not done it before.
Very nice. Patrick, did you wanna do a mini spoiler cast of 24, the video game? This is your chance.
No, that's all right. No, we don't need to get into 24. Other than that game was in between seasons 2 and 3 of the TV show, and it had every single character. It was just like Fast and Furious Crossroads, where it felt just like the show.
Well, we're doing the same.
We're
doing the same thing. You know, I was a big fan of the series at the time. We got the opportunity to make the game, and then that was it. We knew which series it was going to be set between. We started working out plot points, like how do we beat? Oh wow! It was a nuclear blast in 2, I believe it was. I believe the nuclear bomb went off in 2, and then 3 was about the chemical attack in Mexico. God, if I remember correctly. So again, we were in the similar situation. How do we stop how do we one-up a nuclear blast? We knew what characters were potentially going to be in 3, with Adam, who was played by Zachary Quinto, who then went off to be Skylar and Spock in Heroes, if you remember that show.
Oh, I love that show.
We knew that Alicia Cuthbert was going to be joining CTU in season 3, so we wanted to put her like her first day on the job. You know, everyone loves a little bit of Kim, and wondering, you know, what trouble she's going to get herself into. And then similarly, we were like, what bad guy can we have that is really going to one up, you know, a nuclear bomb going off or whatever they had planned in season 3? And that's where the character of Madsen came in, who was basically a paramilitary guy, but he was just a puppet in it all, and his strings were being pulled by Max, who was a character we'd only really seen a little bit of in the show at that point, but we knew was quite important. And therefore, again, similar kind of thing, it all started to come together like an EMP paramilitary takeover of CTU, which we'd not seen at that point, like the wolf coming into your den. You know, as a fan, that was all awesome stuff that, you know, we wanted to see. And, you know, everyone was in there. Again, similar story to Fast and Furious. You know, all the crew were amazing. Got to walk around CTU and take photos and reference pictures and stuff. Got to meet the cast.
Did you get to talk about Kiefer Sutherland's heating bill at all? Or his laundry service that he preferred?
Kiefer was an absolute machine, because he had so many lines, and a lot of it was screaming like, "Where's the bomb?" and all that kind of stuff. So We were
Chloe.
Yeah, so we were very cautious of his voice going, and he would. But in real life, he was like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, he would be very quiet and stuff like that. Very cool. And then he was just quickly jumping onto the mic and going, "Tony, there's a bar of seat to you. We've got 5 minutes to go in." Blah blah blah, all that stuff. The little story there is we put in. They were on the transit system trying to find sarin nerve gas. And let me see if I can remember it. And we'd put in the script the actual chemical, like the scientific name for it, which I think is isopropyl methyl phosphonaphloridite. There we go.
Okay.
I do remember it all this
Take
time.
your word for it.
Because I remember it. And of course, Kiefer, gets to that line and he's like, "Tony, there's a bomb here and it says it's got blah, 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 blah." And he's like, "Who wrote this?" And of course, I'm in the voice recording booth, like bouncing lines with him. I'm like, "Oh, that was me, Kiefer." Like, come on. And it was very much that kind of Han Solo, Harrison Ford thing. You can write this, but you can't say it, kind of thing. And then we just went, just say sarin nerve gas, and that was it.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, it's
hilarious.
They were all fantastic people. The guy who plays Tony, Carlos Bernard, was an absolute gentleman.
In that game, speaking of Tony, the game was so fan service. I mean, you had Tony's walk down, like with the way he has his own little walk. Yeah. It's very distinctive.
So I'm a big Star Trek fan as well, and there's a way that Riker walks, if not Next Generation, and he walks kind of with one shoulder kind of down slightly, kind of like walks, like leans in. It's like a power. And then whenever he stands next to something, he puts his leg up. So it was very similar. Like we were looking at how everyone walked. Michelle walks in heels. Jack kind of like just stomps everywhere because he's on a mission everywhere. And then Tony kind of like he is a bit more relaxed. He's got big problems at CTU. He's in charge and blah blah blah. People don't trust him, all that stuff. So he kind of walked with a bit of a, not a lazy way of walking, but like an idle, but meanders over to a desk and then like puts his hand on it and rests on it, thing like that. So I'm glad we got little things like that. Right, that's good. That's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our fantastically furious and fast conversation with Andy Tudor. Andy, thank you so much for joining us, man.
It's been fun.
Yeah. Before we get into our little spiel of how to connect with us and all that jazz, do you want to share how our joiners and listeners can connect with you?
We're on Twitter, which is Slightly Mad Team for the team, and then we've got Fast Furious CR and Fast Furious Crossroads on Instagram and Twitter, and then Project Cars Game on Twitter and Instagram as well. I'm Real Andy Tudor, which you can search for on anything. I'll try to get them all to match at least. And there's some behind the scenes photos and stuff like that on my Instagram for and including interviews with interviews with Saniqua and Asia, if people want to see those.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. That's some good stuff to check out. And also, I will note that as a recent follower of yours, you are a super positive guy, and I appreciate the positivity you're throwing out there on Twitter. It can be, as I mentioned earlier, a volatile place. So
exactly. You've got to. And to quote another podcast, you've got to put good out in the world, haven't you? There's a time for negativity and there's a time for appreciating. You know what? Hundreds of people worked on this thing. Doesn't matter whether it's Tenet, the new movie, or whether it's Bill and Ted 3, which I just watched the other day, or a video game, or an album, or whatever it may be. It's there's no need to be horrible and all that kind of stuff.
It's not like any one of those creators got out there and were like, I'm going to make this trash. Like they really did their best and put it out there. So.
And also the things that are going on in the world, okay, it's not for you. Okay, move along. You don't need to spew vitriol into the void to get your point across. Just turn off for a bit. Go and relax. Yep. Go and get some fresh air.
Yep. Your positivity is appreciated, sir. Joiners, listeners, family, friends, if you'd like to connect with us, the Good Morning Guys Beyond Listening, as I mentioned at the top of the show, follow and chat with us on Twitter at the GMG Podcast or Discord, where our link is in the Twitter profile or our show notes. We're also old school, of course, and have email, thegoodmorningguys@gmail.com. And if you'd like to call in, give us a nice little voice message, ask a question, simply let your voice be heard. You can call 929 GMG Guys. And then beyond that, we also, this is a little surprise for you, Andy, you didn't see this coming, and we are building a GMG video game playlist, a top 100, as it were, that we're going to rank here in about 22 episodes, I think. We're continuing to collect games. Each of us bring a game every episode. And so today Patrick's going to bring a game. I've got one. Marc has a game from the spirit of Marc is with us, and he has a game to offer. And then for Ronnie, our fourth member of the show, he said that you, Andy, can give his pick for this evening. So give you a second to think about it if you'd like. Patrick, what game do you want to throw into the mix with our...
I'm gonna go with The Getaway. The old PS2
there you
game.
go, The Getaway.
Yes.
Nice.
Do you remember that game? Did you ever play it?
Yes, it was in our sister studio in London. Whilst we were making Primal and 24, they were making Getaway 1 and 2. So yeah, I know it well.
Nice.
Oh man, that was back when like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch were out, and then they came out with The Getaway, which was like right along the same lines.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good like. It wasn't GTA, but it kind of felt like it was a good story-driven GTA game where, yeah, it was a good one.
Yep. It's like it's like the spiritual successor to Driver. I think that was on PS1, if I remember right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Andy, did you have a game you wanted to throw out there?
Yep. I'm going to throw in Lollipop Chainsaw, which is going to probably surprise a bunch of people, right?
Lollipop Chainsaw.
And the reason is, and I fully expect it to drop all the way down to 100 or even out of the top 100.
I don't know. I don't know. I put a couple games in there that
reason being, I think it's one of Grasshopper's most accessible games. In that it's a cheerleader with a chainsaw, mowing down zombies in a slash 'em up, beat 'em up-y kind of way. It's really quippy, and James Gunn, who directed Guardians of the Galaxy and the new Suicide Squad movie, he was involved with it. So
I had no idea about that. Cool.
If people don't, I don't think people know that. And actually, if you go back and watch it and play it, it's still pretty fun. And I wish they would do like a new version of it, or something like that. But his humor, exactly, his humor comes through that. And actually, you know what? It's underrated. It didn't get terrible reviews or anything.
No.
I just don't think it really got onto the public conscious. Probably because it came around at a time when everyone was kind of mocking boob physics and things like that, and on the surface, it's a scantily clad cheerleader, doing kind of Buffy-esque things. So on the surface, like, it can get a lot of ridicule for that kind of stuff, but game is decent. Again, it's one of those games that keeps on giving, like keeps bringing in new, mechanics or upgrades or whatever it may be.
Right.
And as I said, that breaks the curse for me as a designer. And then the humor on top of that, and I think it's worth a second shot.
All right.
If you can get hold of it.
I think that's a respectable pick, and that's a pick that Ronnie will appreciate. I don't think he will have played it. It's possible, but we'll send him the trailer or some gameplay footage, and I think he'll be 100% behind your pick of Lollipop Chainsaw.
Cool. Good.
For me, I'm gonna throw in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Probably later if I get the chance, I'll probably throw in Final Fantasy VII also, but this year, Final Fantasy VII Remake was a dream come true. I love that game. Patrick played it. It was so cool we never did get to do our spoiler cast about it. There's still part of me that's like, man, I hope we do. Andy, I think I saw Final Fantasy VII in your top list of games. Did you play Remake? Oh no, no.
8. I'm afraid.
8. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm the one guy who likes that.
I know.
Yeah,
well, you gotta broken clocks right twice a day, so you gotta have those people that. I'm just kidding.
So obviously I played through 7. Obviously it's a classic. Obviously it's in the Hall of Fame of video games and things like that. But for me, 8, I just preferred the characters.
Yeah.
I preferred the relationship between Squall and Renoa. I preferred the spectacle of the Galbadia. Well, I can't remember what it was.
Right. So
you
many
lose,
Final Fantasy
you lose
words
track
that
of-
you'll never remember.
Yeah, exactly. And the evil witch and just the combat and the upgrade system and the Guardian. Are they called Guardian forces in that game? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
All of it. It's the one of the first games I 100% completed on.
Right.
Literally got every Guardian force, grabbed everything, got the best sword, did absolutely everything. I couldn't have got any more things in that game.
Yeah.
And again, it was at a time when I was at university, so I'm an only child. So I grew up with the kids in my street. And if I wasn't playing with them, I was playing on my computers or on my consoles at home. And I was good at art at the time, and therefore I wanted to do something with computers and art. And then I went away to university, and it was at the time when Toy Story and Jurassic Park were coming out, and they were telling stories with computer animation. Right. However, it was also the time when Final Fantasy VIII and Metal Gear Solid 2 Metal Gear Solid 1 had come out, and they were telling stories with computer animated things, but in video games, like my first love. So that's where I decided to, instead of going into movies and animating like Jar Jar's left finger, I could do something much larger and have much more of a creative input. In video games instead. So Final Fantasy VIII was actually the one that came around at the time, which told an amazing story. I thought just at the time that I was deciding what to do with my life at university. Final Fantasy VII came a bit earlier, therefore.
Right, that makes sense. Cool. The last game that we're going to put on the list is Halo 3. And that is a classic multiplayer game that's arguably the best Halo game, probably the pinnacle of the Halo games. So Halo 3, good choice from Mark. Thank you for that contribution, buddy.
Okay.
All right. Well, next week we will have another guest, thanks to Mark, that he will introduce us to. Who will update us hopefully next week on the birthday stream he had this past Saturday. And of course, he'll probably have La Coretta fresh in his old estomago. And then most likely Ronnie will update us on the latest adventures in volleyballing and successfully make us laugh in 3 words or less, as he usually does. All right, Pat, Andy, along with you, our beloved friends, family, and joiners, go get your good morning this week. And may God bless and guide your lives as you live, as you work, and as you game.
1, 2, 3, 4.